XDefiant is on its way here in the next couple of months, and there is one huge reason why you should be excited about the brand new game coming from Ubisoft San Francisco. As more and more AAA games come out these days, it seems like there's one huge thing that keeps on getting left behind, and that is direct communication from the developers. However, that is actually changing with XDefiant. And if you want to know why that is, give this video a like. My name is Buckeye, and welcome to XDefiant Guides. There is one really easy way to get to the gamer's heart and make them want to come back to your game over and over again, and that is making the player feel important. Seriously, if you've ever tried to do literally like anything in the world and it didn't feel that you were an important part of it, you probably lost a little bit of interest and were no longer as ready to be a part of it. And that's no different when it comes to video games. The player is investing their time and effort, however often they play, in order to interact with the game. And as that player, they want to feel like they are important to the developers who are making the game. If they feel like there's a disconnect, it's a whole lot harder to really get into the game and become invested. But if they feel important, then that changes, and they want to be invested, and they want to be there for the long haul and interact in any way that they can. And this is a really important thing because making your player feel like they are important goes a long way for your game, especially if it's not necessarily doing so great, if there's a lot of things that need to be fixed with it. If the player feels important, then they're going to be more lenient, if you will. They're going to be more accepting of when things are going wrong, and they're going to listen and say, okay, the developers are talking to me and telling me what's going on. Okay, I don't like it, but I appreciate you telling me that, and I'm excited to see what happens when it gets fixed. These are the kinds of things that happen when the player feels like they are important to the developer. It's a really, really big thing. Now, the way for a player to feel important to the game is to feel connected to the community and connected to the developers. When you have developers that are communicating with the players, it helps them to feel connected. Players want to feel connected to their game. They want to feel connected to their community. That's why we watch YouTube videos of the games that we love and why we watch live streams, just like my live stream on Kick. It's kick.com/BuckeyePlays, link in the description. But seriously, that's why we consume content. We want to be a part of the community when we want to feel connected and feel like there's more going on than just us. But when there's a wall up that breaks that communication barrier, it's a whole lot harder for us players to feel connected, and it reduces our motivation and our interest, and it really just kind of messes the whole thing up. And this happens when there's a lack of communication between the developers and the players. If the players feel like they can't get their voices heard by the developers, then eventually they're gonna stop and they're no longer gonna try because it seems like there's no point in even trying. Now, this is where XDefiant is changing things. The game hasn't even released yet, and we have seen an unbelievable amount of direct communication from not just the developers of the game, but the executive producer on XDefiant itself. And if you weren't aware, by the way, the executive producer on XDefiant, Mark Rubin, was also a previous executive producer at Infinity Ward and Call of Duty back in the day. And what he is doing that is so incredible is he is interacting with people on Twitter of all follower counts, whether it be content creators or just a simple person who uses Twitter with 5 followers. He's responding to everybody. Any question that somebody has, he's responding to. He's answering them. And the really cool thing is a lot of the things that we know about XDefiant have actually come from Mark Rubin's tweets, not even from official releases from XDefiant themselves or trailers or things like that. We have learned a lot just from what Mark Rubin has said on Twitter. And that is a really big deal, and it's actually a really big part of why XDefiant is growing a very rich community before the game has even released. We've had a few beta sessions so far, but the game isn't even out yet, and it feels like there's a really strong and loyal fan base that's here and is excited, and the game hasn't even dropped. Let me show you a few examples of what exactly Mark Rubin has been doing, because it's actually really huge. Because this is an arcade shooter, people attribute it to Call of Duty, and one of the most popular Call of Duty game modes is Search and Destroy. Well, people are asking Mark Rubin, hey, is there going to be a Search and Destroy mode in this game? And he has responded repeatedly about this idea. And yes, it is coming. It'll be coming post-launch. It won't be here at the beginning, but it is on its way. It is being worked on. In fact, it has been moved up in the priority list, which is so cool to see. Mark also answered an unbelievable amount of questions, whether it be server related or input related or whatever the case may be, during the open beta session, trying to assist and help people have the best experience that they can. He's done such an unbelievable job of responding to people and making their voices heard to make sure that the game can be put in the best possible situation that it can be when it launches later this summer. Now, when we're talking about post-launch, he's actually gone out of his way to say many different things about what we're going to expect from the game after it launches, and this is really cool. He recognizes the fact that the game is free to play and microtransactions do help fuel that game's future, but he has also made it known that microtransactions will not rule the game, and there will be a lot of awesome content that will be free to grind for, and that is such a good thing to hear. Now, to be fair, the good thing is that if the game's good, people are going to want to spend money on the Battle Pass, and they're going to want to spend money in the store, which is a good thing, but in general, you don't have to spend money. There's going to be awesome things to just play the game and grind for, which is great. And what I really love about this idea is limited time events. We're not doing loot boxes or anything like that, but they're looking into ways of having limited time events where those specific items that you can get are really rare and you can only get them during that time period, which to me sounds really cool. And it will give people an incentive to play during that time frame. And there are so many more examples of this where he's talked about there's not going to be a battle royale for the game. They're just focusing on the game that's in store. He's talked about a classic prestige system coming post-launch and even more. My point is, Mark Rubin has been invaluable on social media to the community and has really been an integral piece to the puzzle that has grown this community before the game has even launched. And that's why I really think that XDefiant is changing this sort of narrative of being there a lack of communication between developers and the players. So far, they're being very direct and very up in front with everything that's going on, and that is such an awesome thing to experience. Now, do me a favor, if you guys enjoyed this video today and you want to see more, click the like button, it really helps us out, and also subscribe so you don't miss any of our content. But I will see you guys in the next one.